Hey, I'm Patrick Tomasso, and we're here at the TIFF Film Reference Library, where I sat down with Sir Roger Deakins and James Deakins to talk about frames from The Shawshank Redemption. Enjoy. Did you guys get a chance to watch Shawshank on the big screen on the weekend? Did you stick around for that?
No.
When was the last time you saw it in theaters?
We were timing it a while ago.
So we were in a digital house and saw it.
Yeah.
I think I saw on the podcast you were talking to Greg Fraser about this, and you said maybe the last time you were timing was for the VHS. You had a hard time finding a streaming version that looked right.
Right. We saw it streaming and it looked horrible. So I started calling around and bugging people. And so I guess they hadn't realized it was out there. We finally got to go in and retime it.
I think you guys have always been very good advocates for the DIT process. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it's just the final step, right?
Yeah, I mean, God, when it was lab timing, it was all so simple. You had red, green, or blue, or density. And now there's so much control. And that probably, I guess, partly my fault because of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But, I mean, you can do so much now. Right? So if and that's not saying somebody that comes in fresh to it might have a different idea of what to do with it. That's not saying their idea is wrong, but it's not the same as the director and the cinematographer. So, isn't it? It's a personal thing.
Yeah, and I think it's also when DI came in, people seem to regard it like Photoshop, and they had Photoshop at home. Yeah. Oh, I can do that, but there's definitely a skill to it, because if you put in too much blue, then it degrades the image. But if you don't put in enough, it's not right. So it's a pretty crucial part that the DP should be involved in, because it's just the continuation of the look that he and the director, or she and the director wanted to
and
do.
then you get so many people, timers, saying we created the look in the DI, and I'm going, really?
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, how did cinematographers work before there was any digital post?
So then I have to ask, having rewatched this recently, even from your first digital film, which I think was In Time, right? The first one you shot fully on digital.
Digital capture,
right? You have done such a great job of just skin tones being consistent from your film days to digital. Was that part of when you switched to digital, were you making a lot based on stuff that you had shot on film before?
I've heard people say this before, but I mean, skin tone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why should it change?
It was also that it was the Alexa that made us change, because Alexa had that color capture.
Yeah, we waited until there was
right,
a camera and a system
That could do it, right?
And a post system that would sort of,
And we shoot with one LUT. A lot of people do different LUTs for different situations, but I guess coming from film, you just pick one LUT that's basically your balance.
Totally.
And then you light it the way that you want it, one way or the other.
Cool.
But the hardest thing was actually, talking about skin tones, is before you were shooting digital, when you were transferring film to digital, the scanners never got skin tones right. It was very interesting. You always had to do a select on skin tones to make sure it had come in right.
I want to segue to everybody's favorite thing, which is aspect ratios. So Shawshank, 1:8:5. This was kind of a popular aspect ratio for American dramas and romantic comedies and stuff like that in the 90s. Say you shot this today, still 1:8:5?
I mean, it'd be up to the director.
Yeah. So what was that conversation like about what I personally love 1:8:5. I just think faces look really nice in 1:8:5 and the way you frame this film in particular. But you lose some.
Everybody says, well, I shot it 1:8:5 because it's more intimate, or I shot it 2:3:5 because it's 2:4:0 because it's more intimate. I mean, it doesn't matter what you shoot, it's more intimate.
Yeah.
No, it just felt.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's sort of instinct really. I say it's a lot of the directors sometimes will come in and say, no, I want to shoot it widescreen, like Sam Mendes, who just likes shooting widescreen. But
it's oftentimes a discussion in the beginning, and it is.
Yeah.
I just feel like it should be this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you guys talk about this on the podcast a lot. There's this intangible thing with movies, right? Where there should be, right? Yeah. Where we're just kind of it seemed right, That's why Thomas Newman's scores feels right. It just, all these things sort of came together. Do you look back at films like this and you're like, that was some magic, and I don't know how to maybe replicate that perfectly, but all those things sort of came together, and that's why this movie's so beloved. Do you try to think about that stuff?
it's so a combination of
Yeah.
everybody that's worked on it. And I mean, you know, I'm sure. The number of movies that would be very different if the people that originally cast when the director, writer, whoever was conceiving of the project, if it had ended up with those actors, they'd have gone, really? How would that have worked? And it all changes around. And you.
Well, I think even like Morgan Freeman's character in the book is like an Irish guy, right? That's called Red. Right? And it became like a joke in the film, right? Can you imagine this movie without Morgan Freeman?
Right, exactly. No, you can't.
You can't.
But ideally, what a film is, as opposed to a novel, is it starts out one way. You bring the script in, and in prep, you work on it, and everybody's putting their ideas in, and it changes during the course of prep, and you think, oh, I really know this movie now. Then you go on the set to shoot it, and the actors come in, and they've got a new interpretation, and you go, oh my God, that's brilliant. And you change things along the way according to that. And then there's another step, because it goes into the cutting room with an editor who is fresh eyes, who hasn't been on set before, and can look at this footage and go, oh, but wouldn't it be better if it worked this way? And that to me is what makes movies good, if people are open to that. They don't stick with the first plan.
Yeah.
They let everything.
It's like we were talking the other night about Army of Shadows, you know, and there's the opening shot of Army of Shadows is the German troops marching down the Champs-Elysees with the Arc de Triomphe. Well, that, up until an hour, apparently, an hour or two before the premiere, was the last shot of the movie. And Melville went, no, if it's the first, the whole audience is going to be, this is France.
That's incredible.
You know, so things, as James says, things evolve. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes anybody can come up with an idea that might be good, but sometimes it can be really bad.
It's important to know the difference.
Absolutely. James, I think you had read the script first, right, before Roger had read this, and you said you have to read this one, right?
I just thought it was such a well-structured
Yeah.
script, and because we read a lot of scripts, and you get used to sort of judging it that way. And he said, oh, it's Stephen King, I don't think so. And I said, no, you got to read this. And he did.
I'm so curious, in shots like this, these sprawling wides
Yeah.
of all these people, are you meticulously like, okay, you know what, I need a little bit of a gap here. I want to move, prisoner number 72 to the right. Or do you like to embrace chaos in moments like
It depends. I mean, I remember on that we were kind of looking through the camera and saying where there was a gap or whatever. I mean, you never have enough extras.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it doesn't matter. You can put them in later. No, I mean, it's something like that. We were quite specific. The helicopter shot, I remember in particular, doing the rehearsal with the helicopter, and then we didn't have a live feed. They came back down, played the shot, and then it was Frank and I talking with the AD and making sure the timing of the crowd, because again, we didn't have enough people,
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about inserts. I am a huge fan of your inserts. I think of like the tree shot in Prisoners. I consider it like an insert shot, but it's kind of not. I've had a hard time trying to explain it to people, but it's like these feelings in movies where you're not quite sure why, but my God, does that tree shot ever work?
It's probably a homage to the shot in No Country for Old Men of the rapper and
Yeah.
the sound of the rapper in the gas station.
Yeah. Well, with Denis or with Frank Darabont, when you're finding this stuff, is it in the moment? Like, is that stuff storyboarded out? Like, have you?
No, I mean, some is storyboarded, definitely. The tree shot, Denny was talking about that in the morning, and there was a lot of pressure not to do it. And we had other stuff that we had scheduled, we were doing around the house. And I said, it's all right, Denny, we will get to it, we'll get to it. But it was an insert, as you say, kind of. So we left it until the end, and then
And
production wanted to wrap because we'd been there a long time.
Totally.
We got the shot
and
quite
they
quickly.
didn't really understand.
No, I
don't
imagine
think any
so.
of us did.
Nobody
really.
did, right?
Kind of
Yeah.
like, well, that's
You're
interesting.
consistently moving
I'm
that way.
moving out of shot. I like to do that. I don't think I'm on the wrong side of the
Okay, we all shuffle a little bit. It's good to be comfortable. And also, I just find like an insert is such a great way. Like, I think Fincher's really good at this. Denis is really good at this, where it's just like, hey, audience, this is important. Like,
yes,
look
well,
at this.
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah. A lot of times people use an insert just to get around something that doesn't work.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a
you might
filler
as well
shot.
throw it away, which is a shame. But when you have an insert, it's like when you have a close-up. It's a really important decision to
Absolutely.
shoot that or go in close or whatever.
let's talk about deep focus and production design. In a lot of your work, you shoot very deep focus, right? So not a lot of shallow depth of field. You like to show spaces in production design.
Yeah, I don't like shooting a normal shot on a long lens. You know,
Yeah.
I like being fairly wide. I like feeling the presence, like we're talking to each other now.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I like putting a character in a environment. I like seeing the world around the character. You know,
Absolutely.
so.
Do you remember having conversations about like their room coming out from the prison, like what that could look like, and that sort of conversation with the window and where you wanted the light coming from? Was this a real place, or did you guys build this as a set?
Oh, you know, I knew you were going to ask me that question. I think we were on location down at the bottom of the town, weren't we? Yes, it was a location, and I remember that being kind of difficult because there was busy road down below the window and things like that. But you know, I don't remember talking with the director very much about light.
Like for anybody that doesn't know, like you guys built a set for this prison. You had to light, the fixtures were all like dummy lights that you had put in there to control and stuff like that. Like you lit this movie. So anyone that thinks it's naturally lit,
there's
please.
not a single interior that's not lit because the prison itself was very dark and we were shooting film, and also we were shooting very long days. So you'd start on a Monday, you would start a normal start time, you know, 6 or 7, whatever it was. By the end of the week, because of the long days and actors' turnaround, we would start the day at maybe midday or 11 o'clock in the morning. And we would shoot till 7 or 8, 9 in the evening. And that would be day interiors. So there's no way you'd have to light the interiors on
Pretty
location.
much later than 7.
Oh, even now, I'm very, very kind.
Yeah,
But-
come on.
But then the actual main cell block, you know, with the big bullpen area, was a set built in a warehouse, so the whole thing is lit.
This is my favorite shot in the film, which is the shot on the rooftop.
Actually, mine too, I suppose, if I got a favorite. Yeah.
Can you tell me about this day? Do you remember? Did you have any moment during this where you're like, "This is good. This is gonna be."
Moment
It was a
in,
tough day.
we had a moment in prep when Key Grip said to me that there's no way we could shoot on that roof. It's rotten.
Oh, jeez.
So they spent a couple of weeks shoring up the roof, and then we had to get these 2 different cranes onto the roof, which is a very heavy piece of equipment. That was quite well worked out before we shot it, as it had to be. And, you know, I've done scenes like this with a few directors of shooting, you know, not quite magic hour, but almost, and wanting to do a number of shots in a short period of time. And I remember being in Africa with Bob Rafelson, and we were overlooking Lake Turkana, and we had 5 shots worked out for this scene, and he kept saying, "Can we start shooting yet?" And I kept saying, no, because I wanted it in the right light, and it was very similar on that evening too.
Absolutely. Was this actual sunset? Did you guys shoot this at that time of day?
Yeah.
Did you light this as well?
No.
That's
We're
just
just
sunset.
very lucky. We had a very, very soft sunset.
Beautiful.
So we're very lucky with the light, because the same day we shot them tarring the roof, which is really bright, harsh sunlight, which usually I hate, but for that it was really good. So the contrast between when they're tarring the roof and when they're sitting and having their beers was just right, really. But you know, it's lucky, really.
I want to ask you just in general, what do you think you learned the most on this movie?
On Shawshank?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've learned since that people are very obsessed by it, and I have no idea why, really. I like it, but it's one film about, you know, within a very long career, so.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had so many films where I could say that I think that's my favorite movie that I've ever
Well,
watched.
I know it's different. It's different as a movie, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And as James says, you know, the thing is, it's about hope, and I think that's what grabs people, especially these days.
I really want to thank you guys for sitting down with us.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. I'm sorry it's so hot in the city right now.
No, it's all right here.
Thank you so much for watching this chat with Sir Roger Deakins and James Deakins about Shawshank Redemption. I really hope you learned something. If you want to learn more about how movies get made, subscribe to my channel, Patrick Tomasso, and make sure to subscribe to TIFF as well.